Dan, guys, shots have been fired in Congress today. We have the Oversight and Securities and Exchange Commission coming together here with the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services. We got Patrick McHenry. I also have a clip from you from Representative Huizenga and Warren Davidson. We're going to start off with Warren Davidson. We're going to go over to Mr. Huizenga, and then we're going to finish off with Patrick McHenry. Guys, shots have been fired. David Warrington has gone after Gary Gensler here. He's saying he should be fired. They're just... this is pure gold, guys. You have to watch this, but this is what we're dealing with here in America. We have puppets like Gary Gensler out here for the big banks, stalling everything, not cooperating with Congress, not pushing the ball forward with cryptocurrency, and this is the pain that we're dealing with. I hope you guys get some value out of this video. Let's go ahead and get into this. I'm Robert Doyle. Thanks for being here. Let's start the show. Bam!
Coin ETF, quote, arbitrary and capricious. In a subsequent interview, you dismissed the judge's opinion. Asked a follow-up question. If anything a judge says would change your mind, you responded, quote, no, not really. It seems that you don't really recognize the authority of the judicial branch. You seem to have a love for the Howey test, selectively applied as illustrated by Mr. Torres. But in light of those reactions, what should people make about Bitcoin ETF? How will the SEC revise its approach?
We have great respect for the courts. I personally have great respect for the courts. We're considering that it's still an active consideration of the commission.
So you haven't made up your mind. I got to tell you,
with the case.
Yeah, I got to tell you that many market participants have reached out and are concerned that you will arbitrarily, perhaps also capriciously, pull recent filings ahead of others who've been working with the SEC for years to get an approval for a Bitcoin spot ETF. Will this resemble some sort of free pass for one favored company while others remain locked out? And I ask that because it seems that's happened before at the SEC.
Oh, shit. He's talking about Ethereum and ETHgate, right? That's what he was questioning right there. That's what he was bringing up.
I'm not sure if I'm following. I'm still considering that court case and the application, as you say, to Bitcoin exchange-traded products.
Are you going to preserve people's place in line, or are you going to pull ahead a favored transaction or another on the consideration of a Bitcoin spot ETF? Are you going to preserve a place in the queue? Because timing matters. People have worked on this for years, and then you get a recent filing by somebody big in the market, and it seems like, oh, yeah, let me take your calls. How can I help? Meanwhile, you've given the stiff arm, as I've said, Hotel California-style regulations where you can check in with the SEC, but you can never leave. Never leave with clarity. And how about the legislative branch? Do you recognize the authority of Congress or the laws that we pass?
Yes, we comply with the laws that Congress passes every day.
I heard you say that about the courts and now Congress, which is encouraging, but I am inclined to judge your deeds more than your words. And I'll pick up where one of my colleagues, Mr. Huizenga, left off with the Supreme Court decision in West Virginia versus the EPA. Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, sir, I'm familiar. It's an important case.
Glad to hear you say that. And it would be binding, correct?
It's the law of the land, sir.
That's right. And it introduces a major questions doctrine. And you told Mr. Barr that you received tons of feedback on your proposed ESG disclosure rules, feedback that should make clear that the proposal for ESG disclosure is a major question. And it should make clear that you don't have the legal authority to do that. So I'd ask you to knock it off. Cease and desist and work with this body to pass a law if you want to regulate something. Frankly, your time as chairman has highlighted two problems, a Gary Gensler problem and a structural flaw in the SEC. And as I told you in April, I proposed a solution called the SEC Stabilization Act. You're making the case for this bill easier every day you are acting as the chairman by doing rulemaking after rulemaking without any regard to the impact of these rules, or maybe that's the feature for you, I don't know. But it's having a massive impact on our markets. We have markets that truly are the envy of the world, and why would you disrupt them? Processes that are driving capital out of our markets. Not because to avoid our laws, but to find some place where they can get clarity, where they can work with a regulator and get a decision in a path forward. So instead of selectively applied, you're not providing clarity with a rule that's evenly applied. You're intentionally shortening comment periods to limit feedback. And the courts have even called this arbitrary and capricious. You're pushing a woke political and social agenda, and I think abusing your role in the authority of the SEC as covered. I think fundamentally, the Stabilization Act would remove the role of chairman. It would preserve the current commissioners. It would add a sixth commissioner. So there would be no more than 3 from any one political party. And so that would provide a path that would make the SEC do what you're avoiding. Frankly, you're front-running Congress. You're front-running the courts. You're front-running even the own administration. And no one has held you to account for that. I wish the Biden administration would say you're fired. But the list of folks they need to do that for is long. Congress hopefully will with the SEC Stabilization Act. I yield.
Time's expired.
That was spicy, guys. That was spicy. I love it. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. So here's Representative Huizenga, and he's going to lay down some more information. Let's play this.
I hope that is going to be part of the path forward that we are dealing with government funding and our long-term debt. But I want to move quickly, but I want to follow up on some of Chairman McHenry's line of questions and remarks. And I'm not going to belabor the whole situation where we have public documents that you've given us on our request that's been out there for over 7 months. No real information except for that which was FOIA'd by the public. Our request simply seeks to obtain information to better understand the black box of the SEC's activities on climate-related measures and its rulemaking authority. And you had said in your own remarks, quote, based on authorities granted by Congress. Well, I dispute the assertion that you've been granted that authority in this particular case, and we are a co-equal branch of government, and this is routine congressional oversight. Let's talk a little bit about the commission vote for the climate request. When Chair McHenry asked, have you scheduled a vote for the commission? I did not hear an answer on that. Or when will a vote be scheduled? I did not hear an answer on that. There's 13,000 emails and documents we've been told that are ready to be produced, but are being held up by a provision within Exchange Commission 24C. Exchange Act, sorry, I should say, requires a vote of the SEC commissioners is your assertion or the commission's assertion. Lawyers differ on that, and it's my understanding that you claim that you don't have the votes necessary on the commission. Ask you this, are you personally ready to vote yes to produce these documents to this committee?
We continue to work with your staff and continue to work. We have voted as a commission on I think they're called transcribed interviews.
This transcribed interviews are very different than the documents that we have requested. I'm asking you, not about the commission. Are you voting yes, and will you vote yes on giving that information to our committee as requested?
Again, as I've said, I truly believe in the oversight of this committee.
Yes.
Working with the committee to
yes or no?
Working with my fellow commissioners. And
I want to know what you are going to do, not speaking for anybody else. You.
Gary Gensler has ice skates on, and he skates and skates, never answers a direct question, never produces the documents Congress is asking for. This is the type of bullshit that we are dealing with in America, that the one regulator that is holding back the digital asset space more than anybody out in this world, Gary Gensler, and this is what we get. This is who is leading the SEC in America. And this is why America is so screwed up with our crypto laws, and this is why we can't get anything done, because we have idiots like this that are there for the big banks. They don't care about me and you. Think about 2022. You had Celsius, you had BlockFi, you had FTX, Luna, all of these billions of dollars of customer funds lost, and nothing was done to prevent that or help us. It was all done under Gary Gensler's watch and this administration, and this guy has to go. This guy has to go.
Again,
yes or no?
Sir, again, we're working through this at the commission level.
Come on.
And
all right, this is ridiculous. Okay, so let's assume your answer now is no. What have you done to try to produce a vote of any sort? Are you talking to your fellow commissioners? Are you whipping them? Are you asking them to vote for that?
We have ongoing discussions. We, of course, have to have it one-on-one.
Okay.
Because of the Government and Sunshine Act.
All right. Frankly, we've been pretty cloudy over here on the congressional side. You're fulfilling FOIA requests, but you will not give that same information to Congress. That's a problem. So
FOIA is Freedom of Information Act. Regular people like me and you can send in FOIA requests to get actual documents from the government. And it's basically been people like you and me on Twitter and other places that have been asking for all of these requests and trying to get information, and they've been stonewalled by the SEC.
The delegated authority by the commission allows you to do those FOIA requests without a vote of the commission. It seems to me maybe we need to help you out. Does that seem reasonable? Because here's our problem. What happens if you never get the votes? What's your plan? Ignore Congress?
We're going to continue to working with you.
What is your plan? Because we've got a plan. The chairman outlined the plan. And it begins with a P and ends in oxy, and it's not a real fun word that any of us want to fulfill.
Again, we're continuing to work and trying to get you documents on a regular basis.
But you are not. You are giving us publicly available documents. That is not the role of oversight. It's okay. So are you open to legislation that would clarify that the SEC is not required to have a full commission vote to comply with the request of Congress or this committee?
Again, I'd have to have staff look at the legislation. We'd give technical assistance as we give it on others.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't need your technical assistance, because so far the technical assistance has gotten us nothing. I enthusiastically support the chair's discussion of using compulsory process. And it's shameful that you're hiding behind this 24C process and that the commission is. And we are going to have to remedy that, apparently, based on your lack of cooperation. One last quick question. Did you ever receive a memorandum or agency document in writing assessing the Supreme Court's decision on West Virginia versus EPA on the SEC's rulemaking authority?
I know that we've had discussions. I don't remember any memo.
I'm going to ask you to follow up. My time has expired.
Man, it is wild out here. Let me see if I can pull up Patrick McHenry's opening, because that's pretty fire too, guys.
Legislative days within which to submit extraneous material to the chair for inclusion in the record. I now recognize myself for 4 minutes to give an opening statement. Welcome back, Chairman Gensler. Last time you were before the committee, I voiced my concerns regarding your reckless approach to rulemaking, lack of capital formation agenda, a crusade against the digital asset ecosystem, and unresponsiveness to Congress. So many things change, so many things remain the same. Those are the same issues on the docket today. This means that in the last 5 months, you've done nothing to remedy the legitimate and often bipartisan concern expressed by this committee and these committee members. That is disgraceful. So let's run through them again. Let me be clear, Chairman Gensler, our patience is wearing thin. First, the Securities Exchange Commission's current approach to rulemaking jeopardizes the integrity of our financial markets and puts investors at risk. There's a critical need for comprehensive economic analysis of the rules you've proposed and their interaction with one another. Under your leadership, the Commission has failed to adequately assess their interplay and cumulative impact. That's shoddy work for an important agency and does not adhere to the SEC's mandatory statutory authority. While the Securities Exchange Commission is engaged in a wide-ranging regulatory agenda, you seem to have overlooked the importance of public input, resulting in bipartisan bicameral concerns. Members of both sides of the aisle have raised valid concerns regarding the MiFID relief, swing pricing, hard close, as well as your equity market structure overhaul. The Securities Exchange Commission has taken no action to address these concerns. Second, you continue to fail to prioritize capital formation. Among your expansive rulemaking agenda items, there is not a single initiative aimed at improving access to capital or enhancing market. Third, your efforts to choke off the digital asset ecosystem, which has created real harm for consumers and our markets, is clear to all. You said the law is clear, but your actions have created more confusion and lasting damage. Gary Gensler, you've also said your goal is consumer protection. Yet your actions have pushed legitimate digital asset activities outside of regulated financial institutions where consumers are best protected. On one hand, we've seen bipartisan votes in Congress in this committee to provide clear rules of the road and real consumer protection. And on the other, we've seen your ad hoc regulation by enforcement approach to digital assets on a losing streak in the courts. You refuse to be transparent with Congress regarding your interactions with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
That's the investigation we started last Congress.
Get him.
Finally, your lack of responsiveness to this committee's legitimate oversight continues to be unacceptable. And I want to finish here. In February, the committee made multiple requests for documents to the Securities Exchange Commission. This is normal congressional oversight. Yet 7 months later, the committee has not received a single non-public document that was not part of a FOIA production. As I said, our patience is wearing thin. The SEC is not above the law, nor is it unique. Other financial regulators have routinely complied with congressional oversight. So let me be clear. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the Securities Exchange Commission. And you should not want to be the first SEC chair to receive a congressional subpoena. Either we find a path forward where the SEC recognizes Congress as a co-equal branch of government and is responsive to our oversight duties, or my option is to issue a subpoena. It's time.
So the issuing his subpoena would be a little bit different than what we're doing here, right? When you issue a subpoena, he's going to be under oath and he has to answer the actual questions. Right here, he's just ice skating around everything. He basically answers a question with another question and he doesn't answer anything very directly. So issuing him an actual subpoena would actually put him under oath and then they could actually question him and he has to answer those questions. If not, that's bad for Gary Gensler. Let's finish this off and we'll get you out of here.
For you to consider the lasting consequences of your actions, and what that means to the Securities Exchange Commission's reputation long term. While your time in this role may be temporary, the repercussions for your actions may be permanent for the agency.
Ooh.
I yield back.
All right, guys. There's so much more in here. There's so much more I could play for you, but these were 3 clips that I thought you should watch. This is what we're dealing with here in America. And whatever country that you live in, I hope that the bureaucracy and the bullshit isn't like this, because this has just been painful these last couple of years under the current administration, and something has to change. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Peace.